We saw Pep Roulette in full swing over the weekend as Raheem Sterling was benched against Burnley. Now, 8.1% of the owners of Raheem Sterling were bitterly disappointed as he was an unused substitute against Burnley. Now, the 23-year-old, he was transferred in by over 220,000 managers and captained by 180,000 managers. Unfortunately, things didn't go so well with Raheem Sterling. But then we need to look ahead. And in today's episode, we will be truly addressing the fact whether the pros of keeping Manchester leading lights, do they far outweigh the cons of disposing with them? And we'll be looking at them, trying to get into Guardiola's head. We're back after this. You're welcome back. And before I introduce my FPL experts who try and help us understand Guardiola's rotation system, and we need to look at our trivia. And our trivia question for this week is, which player has attempted the most tackles? Now, the best clue I can give you, of course, is a player who's defensive-minded. And yeah, you crack your brain till the end of the show where we give you the correct answer. Of course, I'm not here alone. I have to introduce my FPL guest. And on my immediate left is Enoch. You celebrated your birthday this week. Happy birthday, belated birthday, of course.
Thank you, bro.
And how you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm good myself too. And in terms of FPL, how was your week? Game week?
My game week wasn't that good. I won't say it was terrible. I had 34, but then I wasn't below average this time around, so I'll take it like that.
I think on average terms it was probably the worst FPL week we've witnessed so far. How about you? I think you did quite well.
No, unfortunately, I didn't do too well. I had 53 points. That was slightly above the average, but I mean, it wasn't too good to move up in my mini league, so I'm disappointed.
You are disappointed. Yeah. But then we have to quickly move on. And in FPL terms, we take a look at our prize rise. And our first on the list is Robertson of Liverpool. Now, he has experienced a prize rise, and it's probably due to his performances over the previous weeks.
Exactly. So Robertson has continued his impressive performance. He secured a clean sheet over the weekend against Brighton, and he went away with 2 bonus points. So that explains his prize rise.
Another defender, he's also on the left side, and that's Laporte of Manchester City.
Yeah, he is actually one of the players that is not being rotated so far. He's played all the 9 matches, actually. He's a very good defensive pair. He has a 75% tackling accuracy, and then 11 interceptions, 23 clearances. And you could say that anytime a defender has a lot of clearance, has a lot of blocks, and has a lot of interceptions, and they are keeping the clean sheets, then his price was likely to rise.
Likely to rise. And last on the list is another Manchester City player, and he's returned from injury, and he seems to be on the favorite books of a lot of players, FPL players, and that's Mendy of Man City.
Yeah, so Mendy also secured a clean sheet over the weekend, and then he came away with 1 bonus point. So that also explains his increase in price.
An increase in price, and definitely if there's an increase in price, we need to look at the decrease in prices because it means people are getting rid of some players. And Wilfred Zaha, it's a shocker considering how consistent he has been over the previous seasons.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know why I still have him in my team, because Zaha has got only a goal and an assist over 9 games, and then they've lost confidence. Even Roy Hodgson made a statement saying that his players don't have lost confidence in front of goal, and that speaks to why they are all of a sudden not scoring goals. They are not finding their feet. Nothing is working for Crystal Palace anymore, and having Zaha in your team is a liability now, and that's how come his price has fallen, because he's not getting in any goals anymore.
He's not getting in any goals, but you highlight the loss of confidence, and can we attribute that to Liverpool's front three, and has there been a loss in confidence, and is that why Mane has a prize for this week?
Well, so for Mane, it's a bit specific. He unfortunately injured his hand during his international break, representing his country. So that is exactly why his price has fallen. So managers are seeing him off for better options in their team.
Yeah, and another player that is also being seen off is Kante. And surprisingly, I was intrigued by the percentage of FPL players who went in for Kante, because maybe they thought in his new role he would get some more goals, and unfortunately it hasn't been so. He has seen a prize fall, but then he's still owned by 17% of FPL players.
Well, I think they were wowed by the Sarri system, the Sarri ball, and then the Sarri system came in. We pushed Kante forward, hoping that Kante will get a goal. And Kante got the first goal against Huddersfield in their first match, Chelsea's first match. So we are all hopeful that it will continue. But unfortunately, you can see that Kante is actually a tackler. he's not a defender. He's made of breaking attacks. He's not the one to go in and shoot. He would rather break attacks than score. Kante hasn't scored nor assisted in all the 8 matches he's been involved in. He has played all the 90 minutes. And if you keep Kante, you won't get any point from him, so it's better you leave him out. And then that's Excellence's prize for.
So that will be it for our prize rise and fall. Remember, we are coming at you from the Torches Bar in the Kaneshi Sports Complex. You can always catch your Premier League games here, or even your Champions League games here, over a cup of lemonade. And trust me, they are pretty good. Well, that was it for our recap segment where we looked at some prize rise and fall. And we have to head into our hot topic where we try to get into Guardiola's head and we try and understand Manchester City's rotation policy this season. And I'm joined by a Manchester City fan who's also an FPL expert. And it's been a long while, Kojo. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
I'm doing well. How's game week 9 for you?
I was just 1 point above the average.
It seems to have been a very bad game week for all fantasy players. I'm looking at the average, it was pretty low. But then for Manchester City, we've seen a lot of rotation so far. And it can be frustrating as a fantasy Premier League manager when you transfer in Raheem Sterling, who's quite costly, and then you see him on the bench against the Burnley side. What patterns has Guardiola established this season in terms of rotation?
We call it the pep roulette.
Over the past 3 seasons since he has been at Manchester City, he has been thwarting FPL managers by benching their favorite player or their most captain player. And Aguero, Sané, Sterling have all fallen victim to it at one point in time. But it looks like this season he's more consistent in his lineup, especially the back four, where he's stuck with Walker, Stones, Laporte, and Mendy when he's fit.
So the back four seem to be the only consistent part in Guardiola's starting 11. And looking at attacking players, Bernardo Silva, Sané, and Aguero, is there any pattern with those players? Do they seem to feature in the Premier League games a lot?
Aguero starts a lot. I don't think he has missed a game this season.
Yeah, he hasn't.
And Sané, since he's come back from his child's birth, he has started every match apart from last week.
Yeah. And
Sterling has also been consistent. He started 7 times. The only odd one out is KDB, obviously because he was injured. But there's also Bernardo Silva, who started more than David Silva.
Okay, so yeah, we have established that. But then we look at Manchester City this season, and are there any untouchables in this squad?
I say there are about 6 untouchables. The 6, the ones who are playing most consistently this season, and the ones who Pep will never drop when they are fit.
Yeah, I want to know who Pep wouldn't drop, the untouchables, so we can pick them in our FPL teams.
Edison, obviously. Laporte. Fernandinho. KDB. And Aguero.
You mentioned KDB, and for KDB, when do you think he's going to jump straight into the lineup? And do you think he will ever be rested for the Champions League weeks, or he would be a consistent feature in this Man City team?
Given the fact that he's already missed almost a quarter of this season, I expect him to play throughout to the end of the season.
Throughout to the end of the season. And so now you look at this Manchester City team and your FPL team, and if you had a chance to pick 3 players, which 3 players would you pick and why?
The 3 players are premium picks, and they are not like the other premium picks in the league where they are just expensive and don't give you points. I go for the 3, Mendy, Sterling, and Aguero. Mendy, even though he's the most expensive in the City backline, he gives you assists and he gives you clean sheets. Sterling also gives you goals and assists. And Aguero, surprisingly, he has 2 assists to his name. So he also contributes with goals and assists. And with Aguero, you know that Jesus won't start a lot, so majority of the game, Aguero is the man to go for. Now,
to the frustration of a lot of fantasy Premier League managers, we have seen a bumper haul when it comes to Aguero. And for the 3rd consecutive time, we saw that Aguero didn't go past 65 minutes. Now, that would limit the amount of influence that he has in the game. But then you are going with picking him. Is that going to change? Or do you think he does enough in those 65 minutes for you? Or you think that eventually he would be seeing out 90 minutes?
He does enough for me in those 65 minutes he averages, because Jesus often comes in after the 60th minute, and Aguero is the more safer option when you're going for a City forward.
So for game week 10, who would you have in mind in terms of captains?
I'm very undecided on my captain pick.
It makes sense because it's been quite tough this season to pick your captains. But thank you very much, Kojo, for helping me get into Pep Guardiola's head this season in terms of his rotation policy. And we do a quick substitution, and we will be joined by Enoch and then again as we look at our differential picks and our captain picks for game week 10. Stay tuned. So we have looked at Manchester City and we have broken them down. Now it's time to go into our differential picks and our captain picks, and I'll be joined with Enam and Enoch for that segment. But then before we go into our differentials and our captains, which 3 players, we all know Manchester City would challenge for the title. Yeah. If you could give me 3 players that you would pick from that Manchester City team, who would it be?
I'll keep the keeper, Edison. I'm going to go for Walker. Then I'll go for Laporte. Yeah.
You go for Laporte. So 3 defensive players. And if you had a chance, who would you go for?
I'd also go for Edison in the goalkeeping department. He seems like a solid stay this season. Yeah. I'd most likely go for a midfielder. I'm not sure who, because of Pep's roulette, actually. But yeah, KDB might be a long-term option, a very good long-term option, but most likely Aguero as well. Okay. So across board.
A perfect balance in your team. And without wasting my time, let's go into our differential picks. And I start with you, Enam. And Brighton look like they have very good fixtures coming up. And we've seen Matthew Ryan bagging him some bonus points and having some good save points too. He had 11 points last game week. A good differential pick for you?
So yes, Matthew Ryan seems to be a very good differential pick. Fun fact, he's had 36 saves this season, which turns out to be 4 saves per game. Yeah. And although he's kept only 2 clean sheets so far, I think he's going to be very good going forward based on these statistics. Yeah.
Okay, and Martial, he seems to be the man in form for Manchester United. They play Leicester, and he could be a good differential because he's just owned by 2.3% of fantasy Premier League players.
Yeah, Martial will be a very good pick. He broke the heart of a lot of Chelsea fans over the weekend.
Including you.
Including me, actually, yeah. And now, I started actually taking notice of Martial when they played against West Ham. He got a goal, although he couldn't do anything. Yeah. He got a goal he got a level actually against Newcastle. And then he stunned Chelsea when everyone thought United came to just be ball watchers, but then they actually came to play. When you have Martial, you are not really guaranteed a goal because when you look at his statistics, he's played like 5 shots and he's got 5 goals. So he's not like shooting more for you to actually bang your hope that in the long run, he's going to get you more goals. But then that notwithstanding, anytime he's in front and he gets a chance, he's going to score. So yeah, he's a very good differential.
Definitely a good differential and a sharp shooter he is. But then Lovren, he came back from the World Cup and he's been given his rest. But in the past 2 game weeks, we've seen Jurgen Klopp make way for him in the lineup. And he's also got bonus points as well. A good differential pick coming up this weekend.
Definitely. Lovren is a very solid differential pick for FPL managers looking to get points. He came back from the World Cup, was rested, duly rested, and then he's back with a bang in Liverpool's backline. He came and has played 2 games so far. He scored all 3 bonus points. He kept clean sheets, so he's a very solid pick. And at 4.9 million and with only 2.1% ownership, very solid differential pick.
Very solid differential pick. And lastly on the differential list, that's Hector Bellerin. Yeah. What a game week 9 he had. Scored an own goal and came back with 2 assists.
Yeah, after the own goal, I was thinking, oh, now no one is going to look at him. Yeah. Who is going to look at a defender who scores himself? But then on a second thought, he picked himself up, gave 2 assists and scored. And that's a very good thing to do as a defender to get your confidence back. With this confidence, if you have him, I'm sure you are going to get an assist because Aubameyang and the Lacazette are doing the job in front. When you give the ball to Ozil is likely to do something with it. The Arsenal team is gelling. They are playing really very good football with 10 wins in a row, and they are going to keep running. If you have Bellerin, you are sure a point or 2, and it's a very good differential pick actually. You can get him. A
very good differential for game week 10, and he's also coming at a very cheap price of 5.6, and you wouldn't need to break the bank to get him. And of course, captain picks keep on becoming so difficult. And in the just ended game week, Aguero he scored a goal, he got 6 points, but Harry Kane, another blank, and Salah, he got a goal. And we all thought we were done with Mohamed Salah, but it looks like maybe we need to look at the bigger picture when we are considering our captain picks, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing for game week 10. And starting on that list is Aubameyang. He plays away Crystal Palace, and they've struggled a lot this season. Yeah. But then, do you think Aubameyang, Emery is starting to get satisfied with giving him this bench role, and you look at his record, in 56 minutes, he has scored 4 goals. Would he start from the bench in that game?
So Aubameyang is most likely going to start this game week, and I mean, he's been a very phenomenal player. In the previous 2 matches, he's come off the bench, scored a double point haul in both situations, and he has how many goals in how many games? I mean, the guy is just phenomenal. He's most likely going to start, and I think FPL managers would be making a good choice if they go for him.
They go for him in terms of captain picks.
Chip in this. He's actually got 6 goals in 9 appearances, actually, and he's been on the field for just 57 minutes.
Amazing.
So he is getting used to that super sub tag, and maybe he would come off the bench, but fear not, he would still get you at least a goal or an assist. And next up is Anthony Martial. He plays Everton at home, and you know, in Marco Silva's reign, he's played 24. In his last 24 games that he has managed, he's only kept 1 clean sheet. So we do know that Manchester United will get a goal against Everton. And at the moment, it looks like Martial would get that goal.
If any player is going to get to a goal against Everton, then obviously it's going to be Antonio Martial. Martial has been consistent over the past 3 game weeks, and I'm very sure there is no way Mourinho is going to bench him anymore. They interviewed him quite recently, and they asked about whether there was a row between him and Mourinho, and he was like, there was nothing of that sort. He doesn't know why the media kept on bringing stuff like that. That shows how confident the guy is coming up with. That shows how bold he is now. When he's on the pitch, he's not scared to be criticized. He knows that he's in. He knows that the manager trusts him. He knows that he's the one that the whole team is counting on, because they've counted on him for several times, and he has delivered, and he's going to deliver this time around.
He's going to deliver this time around. And Mohamed Salah, he delivered Liverpool against Huddersfield. Now they play at home to arguably, they would have been the worst Premier League side, but their results against Fulham, they finally managed to win a game, and they'll come into the game at Anfield full of confidence. But of course, Liverpool would be their favourites, and Salah looks like the man to get the goals.
Definitely. So unfortunately, we all know Salah hasn't rediscovered his form from last season, which made him the highest earning or the topmost FPL player. But the thing is, in terms of the front 3, he's most likely the one who's going to get you goals anyways. He has a decent tally of 4 goals and 2 assists in 9 games so far, which is not too bad for a midfielder. And he seems to get into scoring positions, get the big chances and that kind of thing. And they're playing a Cardiff side who, unfortunately for them, have been very poor this season. They just won their last game recently, but that was against the Fulham side, which have also been very poor. So I think Salah would make a very good captain pick this game week.
Now, if you really want to make that jump in your mini league, and you would have to be bold, and being bold would be looking at a player of a sort in Danny Ings, and he plays Newcastle. Newcastle have probably the worst defensive record in the Premier League this season. They seem to be shipping in a lot of goals, and that's something that Danny Ings would be smiling about.
Yeah, Danny Ings for me wasn't someone I was going to go for, but then looking at their opponents, Newcastle, and looking at the way the defense is really poor, then Danny Ings is your man, because he's on penalty duties. He's on a lot of set piece duties also, and then Southampton don't really have any goal poacher apart from Danny Ings. He's their main man. And then although I would say he's lost 2 penalties so far, he's lost 3 big chances in the game. It looks as if that when you give him a chance, he's likely to make something out of it. He's cheaper. He's a cheaper option compared to the Salahs, compared to the Antonio Martials. You can get him in there. You can captain him. But I will want you to be very careful and then think twice about this.
Okay, so you're advising people to captain him, but then think twice about him. And another player that you may not have to think twice about is David Silva, and they go away to Spurs. Now, Spurs, this is their best start to a Premier League campaign, but it just doesn't feel as if they have things in control, and their side looks very depleted, and it looks like Manchester City would put a lot of goals past them when they meet on Monday.
Yeah. So yes, the mercurial midfielder from Spain unfortunately hasn't hit the scintillating heights he hit last season. He bagged a pair of assists in their 5-0 demolition of Burnley, and that has brought his tally to, I think, 2 goals and 2 assists so far this season. It's not his best season yet, and it's only just starting. So I think he would go on to do well anyways, eventually, but against a Spurs side who have lost 1 game in their last 7, he may just about do something interesting. So he most likely would be a differential captain pick instead of your standard captain picks. Yeah.
And lastly, certainly a differential captain pick, Roberto Pereira. He seems to have picked form with that brilliant goal against Wolves last game week. Now he plays Huddersfield at home, and we know that he is a better player when he's playing at home.
Yeah, he's actually comfortable when he's playing at home. And I would say for some strange reasons, he's a little bit unpredictable. Yeah. But then when you look at their previous matches, from the start of the season, when he started scoring, he was consistent. Yeah. So there was a break. Yeah. And then he has started and he scored in the previous week. So I think this is also going to continue. So based on this, I'm going to captain him. Based on this, I'm going to hope that he scores again. But then he's very, very unpredictable. Yeah.
So finally, who do you think would be your captain pick for?
I'll go for Antonio Martial.
Antonio Martial. Yeah. Who would you go for?
Most likely a City player or a Liverpool player.
Most likely a City player, a Liverpool player. Enam seems to be undecided. But then Ben Ewuzi is decided with him that he's still on top as at game week 9. A very big congratulations. You've overthrown Justice Painstow, who has found his way down. Hopefully he can come back up there. And our trivia for this week was, which player has attempted the most tackles so far in the Premier League? I gave you a clue that it was a defensive-minded player, and yeah, it's Idrissa Gana Gueye of Everton, and he has made 43 tackles so far this season. I really hope you did learn something new from this week's episode. All the best in the upcoming game week. See you same time next week. And remember, Fique Lindo, which basically means stay beautiful.